just want to start by saying that I reject the notion that that people always say this. It's like you look at things and they're like, you can't talk about it unless you've seen it. And it's like, well, you know what? Why does that matter? If I read about it in painstaking detail, I can read everything that happens. Watching it happen isn't going to make it any better. I can read the script, I can look at everything that happens, and I can form a fully informed opinion that makes complete sense and it is well thought out without ever having to see the movie or the show whatsoever. You do not have to watch something to be able to have an opinion on it. That's what people always say. When I try to say, I'm not going to watch this because it sucks, then they're like, how do you know it sucks? Did you watch it? And it's like, no, but I read everything about it. I know exactly what happens. I know why it fails. I don't need to have seen it. If seeing it isn't going to make it any better. All of this is to say is that Obi-Wan is a crap show, and I haven't seen it yet, but I have read absolutely everything there is about it. Without going into spoilers, because I'm going to submit a petition soon for revising the policy, but the policy is still in place. It's full of plot holes. It's got bad writing, and the characters are garbage. And, on another note, teachers are not overpaid, okay? If you do the math and extrapolate out to how many days they work a year and all the holidays they get off, they actually make a very modest salary compared to other people in a similar hour range. I should know. I am one. I'm sick of hearing the argument. You can't say it. You can't just say that. They always say they're underpaid. They always make the moral argument. They go into it and they're like, well, teachers have such an important job. And it's like, okay, great, it's important. But think about the actual work they're doing. They are compensated fairly. And I can say that because that's the work I do. And another thing, people who make a show that gets canceled and then it comes back like 20 years later for one more season, I hate... if you don't conclude your show in that new season, you are just being irresponsible at that point, okay? If your show got canceled and then you come back 20 years later, you get like 10 more episodes or something, and then instead of writing it as if, okay, this is all we've got, let's finish strong, let's actually give an ending to the story, we owe it to the fans who've been waiting 20 years. No. We're going to write this with the assumption that we have another season coming, and then when it doesn't happen, now there's still no ending. So it's been 20 years later, and we're in the same position that we were when we started. It's like you may as well not even made it at all. X-Files did it. 12 Ounce Mouse did it. At least one other thing did it. Not Twin Peaks, though. That had a real ending from what I've been told, but I haven't seen Twin Peaks. I probably will one day.
You done?
Who's Freddie Prinze Jr.?
I have no idea. You done?
That
was a 2.5 minutes. Did you even take a breath in that time?
Of course I did.
All right, well, I doubt anybody's still listening after that because you either pissed them off or they got tired of the rant. But yeah, hi, welcome.
Hi.
I'm just saying you said some things there that are definitely going to piss somebody off.
I don't care.
I don't know. You do realize that like teachers' wages probably vary depending on where you are, right? Like maybe where you live.
I've done research in the subject.
I don't know. It's
people say it, they're wrong.
I don't know. Or maybe it's possible to have more than one point of view on a topic. That's a novel idea. You can.
But the point, sometimes one point of view is wrong and sometimes one isn't.
But only according to your point of view. You see the issue.
Yeah, but the issue is that they're arguing about an actual measurable number that we can compare to other measurable numbers. And if you look at that,
you got to factor in
wrong.
You got to factor in like cost of living in the area. You've got to factor in like, I don't know, the kind of work a teacher does probably does vary from place to place, just because of
not as much as you would think.
I don't know. I don't really care. I don't have an opinion. I just know if a bunch of teachers are saying they want to be paid more, maybe we should listen. But I don't want to get into that because I'm not really educated on it. Also, I've only seen the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan at this point. So far, it's been pretty good. I don't know.
It is not. I honestly, I cannot believe you think those first 2 episodes are good.
I thought they were fine. I mean, they're entertaining, and Ewan McGregor was good. Like, I don't know. It's about what I expected. Haven't noticed? They're doing to him what they did to Luke in Last Jedi. They took all the teeth out, and it's so full of plot holes. Like they're not even following their own continuity anymore. They're contradicting the Disney stuff, like Rebels. I'm not sure which part. I don't know. It's been so long since I watched Rebels. And I mean, I see what you're saying about Obi-Wan, but I think that like the whole arc of the story is he lost hope, but he's going to get it back because we see where he is in the start of episode 4. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure
not even the start of episode 4. Look, remember the episode in Rebels where he fights...
Either way.
Huh?
Yeah, either way. I'm pretty sure like the point is this is him 10 years after all of his Jedi friends have been killed. He's it's reasonable for him to be kind of broken from that. And I'm sure that the events of the show probably are like him getting his hope back, or, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. This portrayal is not all in line with how he was portrayed in the other things. He has one job. They're going out of their way to make Leia just as important as Luke, even though objectively she's not. They already contradicted themselves by having, a certain thing. I'm sure you heard about it by now, but if you haven't, I won't say it just in case.
I don't know what you're referring to. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, so I'm not saying the show's going to stay good. I'm just saying, and I'm not saying it was like groundbreaking and incredible. I'm just saying the first 2 episodes were entertaining, and that's really all I cared about. It's Star Wars. I don't expect it to be more than entertaining, which is probably where they keep going wrong. They try to keep making it they keep trying to make it more important than just being an entertaining show. They're trying to make like these big statements with it, and it's just Star Wars. It's space wizards.
No. See that? Nope. Don't even start. That's Chrysler's Law applied to Star Wars. You're doing it a disservice when you don't take it seriously. It's like, oh well, it's just a That's what people always do. They're like, it's just a thing. It's not important. It is important. And when you have that attitude, that's what feeds into it. I'm
saying it's still it's a movie. It's a TV show. It's not. I take it seriously on its own. I take it seriously as I take it as seriously as I take any other piece of media. Like, I watch it and I enjoy it, but it doesn't always need to be. I don't know. I knew you were just going to try to hate that show no matter what, so I wasn't.
No.
Really...
I'm not trying to hate it. I hate it because it sucks. I like The Bad Batch, and I will watch it when it comes out. But I'm not gonna at this point with Disney Star Wars. I am not. They have. It's almost foolish to expect it to be good because it's like after a certain number of times, what do you expect after a while?
I'm not going to be surprised if it takes a dive in the second half. You're taking this kind of like this holier than thou approach about Star Wars, which is just kind of weird to me. You're taking this kind of
holier than thou because I hate it.
No, it's just you're taking this whole stance of it's bad and I don't need to watch it to know that it's bad, and you're wrong for thinking it's good, and you're kind of like.
I didn't say you were wrong. I said I was surprised that you thought it was good.
Well,
I think you're wrong. But that's my opinion.
I didn't say it was. Well, first of all, I never even said it was good. I said I enjoyed it. I don't really care to think about it past that point because. I don't know.
Interesting.
Either way, and yeah, I guess to make a comment on your thing about how you're not having to see. Yes, you can have opinions about shows. That's usually how you decide if you even want to watch a show. But people are probably not going to like. I think it is fair to say that people like probably aren't going to take your opinion as seriously as someone who's actually watched an entire show.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like you can read.
I don't think it's fair. Is the thing.
Oh, the thing is, when you read about a show, you're reading someone else's interpretation of it, and that's usually influenced by some kind of bias. Like if you found 2 different articles, one written by someone that likes the Obi-Wan show and one written by someone that hates the Obi-Wan show, you'll probably get 2 very different images of what the show actually is. So the only way to really make an opinion that people are probably going to respect is by watching it for yourself and making it without any of that.
But I don't need to watch it for myself because if I read a bunch of articles of differing opinions, if I watch a bunch of reviewers I trust, if I read the script for the show so I can see exactly what was said for myself, why do I have to watch it and give support to it? I know everything that happens in it, and I know enough to make my opinion.
Yeah, you can make an opinion that you won't enjoy the show, and that's fine. I'm just saying, don't expect other people. Like if you try to go up against someone that has actually seen the show, of course they're going to go to that argument because there are definitely cases where I've felt that way about something, and then I actually watched it and was like, wow, people are trashing on this way too hard, or I don't know. It's just. Mm-hmm.
I've definitely had that before too. I think people give Legend of Korra way too much crap.
Yeah, I don't.
It's not the best show ever, but it's not as bad as they always make it out to be. Yeah. It's not better than Avatar.
Well, I've watched it. I watched it before hearing really anything about it, and I don't like that show. I made my own opinion on it. I don't like Legend of Korra, and I've seen plenty of articles saying why it's great and plenty of articles saying why it sucks. Mm-hmm. And it's just I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't need someone else to tell me why I don't.
In the middle.
That's always the case. You don't seem to ever agree with that, though.
Well, no, because I mean, with Korra, I have people who insist that it's a better show than Avatar, and it's like, no, it's not. It's clearly not. Okay.
Well, no, Avatar,
but like,
definitely
it's not the worst thing I have ever seen. I've seen worse.
Yeah, no, Legend of Korra's not like terrible. I didn't like it. I didn't really enjoy it, but yeah, it's not terrible. I liked parts of it. Just as a whole, I don't really enjoy the show that much. I never even finished it.
Why is that exactly?
I don't really even know. I think I had a really hard time getting invested in some of the characters, I think, and like a lot of the villains just kind of sucked for parts of it.
I actually thought sorry.
I don't know. I've only seen the first 3 seasons, so I'm sure I've heard the 4th season is one of the best ones, so I know I've kind of
the third and fourth season are really good. The second season, the first season suffers mostly from pacing problems, but honestly, I think the most pervasive problem across the entire show was that other than Korra herself, well, I mean, and some people don't even like her as a character, but most of the characters in that show, like the supporting cast, they kind of suck. Yeah. Like, none of them have actual character arcs until the 4th season. They all just kind of hang around until it's their turn to do whatever they need to do to make the plot move forward. Korra's like the only person that actually has a character arc across the whole show. Everyone else just kind of doesn't really do much.
Yeah, and I kind of hated Korra, honestly. I did not like her. She was just, I mean, I'm sure that's part of the point, maybe, but she just always came across as being kind of like stuck up, and I don't know. It's been a while since I've watched any of it. That was kind of the point. I know that's part of the point, but it still got really grating. It's like I get she's supposed to be immature, and that's the point, but at the end of the day, I'm still watching someone who's immature be immature, and that gets frustrating after a point.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about Ahsoka, though? That was the whole point of Ahsoka. She starts out as a bratty teenager and then becomes one of the most mature characters in the entire universe by the end of the show.
But she wasn't the main character.
She was a main character.
She was a main character, but she wasn't. There were plenty of episodes that didn't have her, and she wasn't always the focus. Legend of Korra is the focus, and she has that problem. And it takes a lot longer for her to actually get over that.
I don't know. I think it's just I just think it's interesting to watch someone who sucks develop into a person who doesn't suck. It's an interesting change.
I don't know. I mean, you could kind of just say that about the Clone Wars show as a whole. The first couple seasons weren't that good. They were all right.
Well, you know, honestly, the only season that I don't like as much is the first season. Because honestly, starting from the second season, it just keeps getting really. I mean, it keeps getting better and better from the first season. It's just the first season is a little bit harder to get through because it's a lot more formulaic and it doesn't take itself as seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
As the other seasons. But then episodes like Rookies exist. Like, remember that episode?
Yeah, that episode was great.
That's the 5th episode.
Yeah.
It's so at odds with the rest of the first season. Like, it's like a preview of what the show would later become. Uh-oh.
What?
I lose you?
No, you just fried my brain.
Wait, why?
I don't know, just your rant about everything.
Too many topics all at once?
Yeah, my head hurts. Whatever, let's get on with this. What are we actually talking about today? We're 13 minutes in, we haven't even got to the actual damn topic, so... What are we talking about?
I'm Mingus, by the way.
What?
I'm Mingus, by the way. This Swamp Thing.
I don't want to be associated with this.
Too late.
Yeah. Swamp Thing. We're talking about Swamp Thing. We did 2 episodes.
Remember when we talked about that like 4-6 months ago?
Probably not, because those episodes weren't that good. But, you know, none of our episodes are that good, so it's fine.
I don't know. The tier list was pretty good.
I mean, I enjoyed making that one at least. It's actually currently exporting in the background on my computer right now.
It's a preview. That's a preview of what's to come. Actually, wait a minute.
No, they'll have seen that one after this.
So, yeah, wait a minute. It's a
preview.
That gets uploaded today, but you haven't... This is from the future.
So they'll have seen it by the time they see this one, but...
Oh, no.
So, yeah. What?
Oh, what have I done?
What do you mean, what have you done?
I've broken the timeline.
It's the SpongeBob tier list that we made.
That SpongeBob tier list that you're going to see that you've probably seen by now, because tier lists are a topic for... I don't know why.
Because we shelled out, that's why.
It was fun, but at the same time, it will probably get more views than the stuff we usually make.
It probably will, but I don't think I'll ever do one again. At least I'd be open to doing another one again as long as there's no organizing of the list that has to happen up front. If we can just jump right in and do it, I'm all for it. but
yeah, you guys know this by now, but boy howdy, was that an ordeal.
Yeah, we don't need to go into it again. Anyways, so yeah, we got through the first 13 episodes of Swamp Run, which was the Len Wein run, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got through that.
Now we move on to the most of them are written by David Michelin, but like 2 of them are written by a different guy, I think.
I don't know. I didn't pay much attention to it, but yeah.
Michelin. Ah, that's right. The last 2 are done by 19 and 20 are done by Gary Conway, and then the last 4. Yeah, so it's basically it's David Michelin, and then also Gary Conway does like 4 of the issues, but also 3 of the issues aren't canon. But more on that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
The last issue that we left off on, he finally revealed that Swampy said that he was Alec Holland, and then Matt Cable was like, "Oh dang," and then he went away into the swamp and was all sad. This one picks up the next issue picks up in the swamp, and there's a telepathic child there with a weird face.
Something like that. Oh yeah, I'm Futterman, by the way. I didn't say that earlier. Yeah, I guess let's just get into this.
It's been a minute. Giant bugs.
Been a minute since I read this one, but
how long ago did you read this?
This one I read a couple months ago, probably. I've been slowly I've been slowly working my way through this book with like breaks in between because I keep forgetting to read it. Yeah. So this one, let's see. It looks like it starts with him in the swamp again. I think it just kind of picks up. I don't know how much time has passed since 13, but it basically picks up in the same spot. He walks off into the swamp at the end of 13, and this one he's still in the swamp.
Being sad.
Yeah, he comes across the weird kid, and so by weird I mean he's got like a Voldemort nose and like
he's got a pale face, no eyebrows, and Voldemort nose.
Yeah, and like kind of a frog mouth almost, I guess.
Yeah, and then some townspeople from the 1800s show up.
Yeah,
to
stock
string
mob.
Them up.
A stock mob shows up.
A stock 1800s village mob.
Yeah, they show up to take him out. Swamp Thing defends him, of course.
Wait, hold on. One other thing. This is where we switch to Nestor Redondo is doing the art now.
Didn't he start at the end of the last part?
Wait, he might have started a few issues ago.
He started at like issue 11 or 12, I think. I remember because
Bernie Wrightson did the first. Yeah, Bernie Wrightson did the first 10 issues, and then Nestor Redondo took over with issue 11. Okay, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, they go, I guess, I don't know, let's just stick to the main points. What are the main points here? So yeah, the kid, he saves the kid, and then I think the kid ends up separated from him. Where does the kid go after that?
He fights off the townspeople, and then they're like, we'll be back. And then meanwhile, they're complaining in the town about their kids, and they think the bog is responsible. Then meanwhile, there's like giant animals and insects in the bog, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this must be because this is the original swamp from the first issue." And they're like, there must be some sort of the biorestorative formulas left over, but that plot
never
point
goes anywhere.
Yeah, it never goes. Wait, how do you know that?
Because you told me that last time we talked about it.
Oh, yeah. No, it never goes anywhere because they revise later in the Alan Moore run how the formula works. And they just never talk about this again.
So maybe it's just like, the swamp's weird. I don't know. I seem to remember they were like kind of building it up as maybe there was something inherent to the swamp itself that contributed to his mutation, but I don't really know.
Actually, at this point, if you're watching a podcast about Swamp Thing, you probably know how this all turns out later. But
or maybe they don't. Maybe they're watching our retrospective because they want to hear it for the first time. I don't know. But yeah,
I would really hope that somebody didn't watch this first, because then it would all be spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, some of these issues are probably a little harder to get a hold of, though. But let's see. Oh yeah, I don't think we mentioned there's 2 of the weird kids.
Yeah,
there's like a brother and a sister, and like one of the townsfolks is like raising him, right?
Well, no, there's a couple weird kids. There's 3 of them.
Oh wait, no, yeah, Jeb Wheeler brought him into town.
And then they were ugly babies from a box, and then he raised them. There's radioactive waste in the swamp. Yeah, they get them from a box in the swamp, and then it turns out they have powers, and they live in the swamp, but the townspeople don't like them. And then he's thinking about how he got turned into a swamp man.
There's something about how there was a disease, and they blame the kids for the disease, right?
Yeah. And then he's like, yes, I can analyze the chemicals and I can turn myself back into a human. Oh, no, there's no chemicals. Dang it.
This makes absolutely no sense to someone that hasn't read it, I don't know. Well, I know the kids have like psychic powers and they can communicate telepathically. And I think it's implied. And there's actually 3 kids. I just remember. I see now. There were 3 kids. One of them's a little older. They live in a tree. And I don't know. I think it's implied there was like government conspiracy or something is what made these kids.
There's always a government conspiracy.
I think. I don't know. Oh yeah, no. There's radioactive waste.
He shows up with a flamethrower. Yeah, I just went over all this.
Well, you didn't say it quite as bluntly. I don't know.
Anyways,
I see the part. They found him in the box, and there was something about radioactive waste communicating them, and townsfolk come with a flamethrower to burn down their tree and kill them.
Well, no. Taggart shows up, and then he gets blown up by the giant ants, and then the rest of the townspeople is like, "Oh my gosh, the kids aren't evil. He was a douchebag."
Oh yeah, but the tree's already on fire, and one of the kids goes up into the tree and saves the other. Oh wait, no, yeah, because like one of the other town's kids who aren't mutated gets like stuck in the tree and is gonna die, and then one of the mutant kids goes up and saves him, and then dies.
Yeah.
Sacrifices himself. Yep.
And then like one guy is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then he's like, "Can they live with us?" And then the guy's like, "Well, no, I don't think
hold on a minute.
I'd be fine with it, but I don't think the neighbors would understand it." And then Swamp Thing's like, "Gosh, piss off, humans. I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going back to the swamp because the filth there doesn't pretend to be something it's not."
Yeah, that's a good line. Yeah. Well, hold on a minute.
Hold on there.
Hold on now.
The only thing he's missing is like a bolo tie.
He's
just wearing a regular tie. If he had a bolo tie, it'd really complete the image.
All right, moving right along. So I remember these ones a lot better because I like literally read that first issue after we finished our first retrospective videos, and then I took like a couple month break. So these ones I remember much more clearly. So the next one
involves a dark magician.
Yeah, or it's like a pastor or he was a pastor and then he conjures a demon.
Yeah,
and
not to be confused with Yu-Gi-Oh.
I don't know. But yeah, so
Dark Magician.
Oh yeah, so this one opens up on he's Swamp Thing's still in the swamp doing his thing. He gets struck by lightning, which knocks him out. And then meanwhile, we find Cable and the gang are back together again, and they're out looking for Swamp Thing as always.
Abigail Arcane, Jefferson Bolt, the black guy.
Yeah, and some other guy with no name.
Around for these issues.
It's some other guy who hasn't.
Yeah, that guy's new.
I'm sure he has a name, but he's never been here before, so you can guarantee he's going to be the one to die. Some creep.
The demon's called Nebros, by the way. Nibiros.
Nibiros. Is that like related to like planet Nibiru or whatever?
I don't think so. I think it's just a demon-y sounding name,
just like Nibiru. But yeah, the creepy pastor finds Swamp Thing out in the swamp, who and revives him, and. Yeah, and he's got like some creepy demon orb in his basement, which is, I guess, like Nibiros is in the demon orb, and he's going to sacrifice Swamp Thing to Nibiros, I believe, right, to bring about the end of the world.
Something like that, yeah. There's an old destroyed church with an upside down cross in it, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm old. I don't know how to open up the door." But there's an evil stellar and he's got wizard robes down there.
Right, yeah, he goes and puts on his robes covered in stars to perform a ritual. He reads all these things to let... Oh, no, he's letting the demon possess Swamp Thing. Yeah. That's what it is.
And by stars, we mean star, moon, and a Star of David. That's also on there.
Yeah, I don't know. Just a bunch of astrological symbols, I guess. I see Saturn on there, too.
Also the planet Saturn a few times.
Yeah. But yeah, they go down into the creepy basement, and then he uses, lets the demon possess Swamp Thing, I believe, right?
Yeah, and then they catch up to him, and then he's like, "Oh, we just want to help you." And then she's like, "Oh no!" And then he smacks him, but the soundbite is written as "swack." And then she's like, "Oh, it's not really him." But then he beats them up.
Yeah, Swamp Thing.
Some other stuff happens.
Yeah, Swamp Thing takes out, fights his friends, and then Mr. No Name with his shotgun shoots him, and then Swamp Thing kills him, or I guess Nibiros in Swamp Thing's body kills him or knocks him out. But yeah, then they get hung up in the basement.
No, he rips his soul out later, though.
Right, yeah.
He survives that, but then he reaches into him and rips his soul out.
He Kali Ma's his soul Nibiru's still consuming, possessing his body. Yeah, I don't know. There's not really much else to this one. It's pretty generic demon shenanigans. They banish the demon from Swamp Thing's body somehow, right?
Yeah, hold on. Let me.
I don't even remember how that.
So he comes in.
I guess I don't remember.
He grabs a candlestick, breaks the demon orb. Then the stereotypical Satan comes out of him.
Oh, by he, you mean Matt Cable breaks it.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, Matt. Sorry, there's no visuals.
See the picture.
There's no visuals. And then Swamp Thing grabs the demon and pummels him a bit. Oh, yeah, but then he's like, "Oh no, I'm disintegrating." And then he possesses the preacher, man. But then he burns up.
It's dissipating. The caustic forces of the plane work too swiftly.
Yeah. And then the priest, after seeing the soul suffering, is like, "Oh my gosh, what have I done? You can possess me." But then it turns out the demon's power is too much for him. And he's like, "Oh, you knew this would happen." And then he burns away. The priest is like, forgive me. And then the church collapses with a koomph.
So what wasn't like the preacher's whole thing? He had some, like, in his mind, good reason for bringing this demon into the world and everything.
Something like that, yeah.
It was like something about like putting the fear of God back in people. Right?
Something along those lines, but you can see how that went.
Yeah, it didn't go well.
Put the fear of Satan in them. And then, epilogue, in the aftermath, Abby and Matt are there. Swamp Thing points. A helicopter is carrying away Jefferson Bolt.
Oh, nuts.
On a rope. That's how the issue ends.
Bolt, who looks suspiciously like a white man in that picture.
I don't know. The ink quality is not good enough to tell.
But just from that distance, all you can see is just skin. Yeah. Anyways,
especially on the copy that I'm currently looking at, because I'm looking at a scan, and it's not a great scan, because this is from this comic is like, when did this come out? 1975. It's like almost 40 years old.
Yeah. All right. Well,
paper doesn't last long.
Night of the Warring Dead. Yeah, this one also just kind of. We're in like a section here where this is very episodic, and none of the stuff that really happens is important to the overarching story. So we could probably just kind of glance over this. Honestly,
that's the whole thing about this section. After the initial run, the back half of this run is basically just Swamp Thing goes to a town, weird thing happens, he's sad, moving on, and then some other weird stuff, and then it just kind of skips ahead, and then there's an actual story starting with the second series.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, the second half of the first run is probably my least favorite part of the entire series so far. It's not terrible.
Well, there's plenty of time, don't worry.
Yeah, all right then. But yeah, this one, they're on an airplane. Swamp Thing's hiding in the cargo hold. Hijinks ensue, and he ends up... Oh yeah, someone tries to hijack the plane because bad stuff just follows these guys everywhere they go. Swamp Thing attacks the hijacker, and they fall out of the plane and stuff. They land in the Amazon desert, or Amazon rainforest or something.
Wait, isn't that the next issue?
No, it's this one. I don't know. They're in some rainforest-looking place, and there's like a woman with like almost nothing on.
Yeah, she's the priestess.
Yeah, she's the priestess, and she's got magic. Let's just skip forward.
Look, I'll just read the synopsis for you. Swamp Thing helps a priestess and a mercenary fight a revolution against a tyrannical regime, but stops when the priestess raises an army of undead soldiers. Yep. Script by David Michelinie.
There you go. That's kind of all that happens. There's some mercenary guy that helps the priestess. Oh, yeah, except there's like a mad scientist. So this part was kind of hilarious. I wanted to ask you about this part, actually. So there's the...
Which part?
Oh, yeah, so it turns out Nathan Ellery is still alive, first of all.
Oh, yeah.
Except...
don't worry, that's resolved by the next issue.
By the end of this one, actually.
No, he's in the next issue.
Is he? I thought he got electrocuted and killed in this one.
No, isn't he in number 17?
Maybe? I don't remember.
Hold on. Are you sure that he's alive in this?
Yeah, he's in the wheelchair, and he gets electrocuted. I thought that's how he died.
Shows up at the very end of this issue. He shows up alive, and then he gets killed in the next issue.
Okay, right. Either way. But yeah, Ellery's here, and he's got some mad scientists with him, and... Here, what was the part I wanted to ask you about? Basically, the scientist guy claims that he has discovered something called...
Excuse me.
What was it? Where is this? Come on now. Oh, here we go. E-waves. He discovered something called E-waves. Here, I'll just read his explanation. You see, some months ago, my research...
from 17, because that's not in this issue.
Wait, what?
I think you're... Are you sure you're not reading from number 17? Because the scene with the scientist...
Oh, you're right. I skipped into the next issue. Okay, right.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No. The undead stuff happens, and then the mercenary dies, and the priestess, I think, also dies. Oh yeah, she gets shot off screen. The end.
Yeah. Does he get shot off screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hear blam blam.
There's the mercenary is like, this is all they've taught me. It's all I know, and then he gets gunned down because this is a social commentary comic at its core.
Right. Sorry. Okay. So yeah,
she's dead.
I turned too many pages and ended up in the wrong issue. So yeah, in 17 now. Okay. So now is when the some weird robot shows up. Yeah. Now is when Nathan Ellery is working with some mad scientist who has discovered E-waves. So here's what he says about E-waves. Yes. Some months ago, my research led me to discover what I call E-waves, brainwaves that relate directly to the ability of leadership in human beings. I found that those who emit E-waves lead and those who don't follow.
Okay.
Do E-waves ever come up again anywhere in the DC universe?
Not really. No.
So it's like he just made this big groundbreaking scientific discovery that probably should have bigger implications, but it's used as a one-off in this plot and never comes up again.
I just like, well, okay, this is a comic from the 70s, you got to understand. I just like the implication that apparently the leadership is as a measurable biological quality, and you literally either have it or you don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that there are like different factors that can contribute to you being more, having more typical leadership qualities, but you can't boil it down to one brainwave. Also, I find it hilarious.
Just imagine, it's like the idea that you could rise to the occasion. It's like, what if you have a room of just people? It's like, somebody who's not normally leadership oriented might take charge if the situation forced them to. But to say that you've got like a plane that crashes and there's 4 people and none of them have E-waves. Are they just going to sit around like huddled in a ball until they all die because none of them can be a leader?
Dang, I wish I was more decisive.
But unfortunately, my brain doesn't do that.
Yeah, but anyways, this guy has made the ultra cerebral. How the hell do you say that? Ultra cerebral site on page 10, I guess, when he's revealing his machine that says danger high voltage on it.
Here, let me
ultra cerebrolicider.
The ultra cerebrolicider.
Sure, yeah, that. But
cerebrolicider.
It's basically going
Behold!
to.
It's a giant mad science machine that looks like the same mad science machine that you've seen a million times.
Yeah, and it's going to, apparently when it turns it on, it will...
The pump things and the water and the globes.
Cathodes is what those are. Cathode tubes, I
believe.
The
pumps are cathodes?
Well, not the pumps. There's like cathode tubes on there. But either way...
Yeah, those.
Either way, apparently
I just want to know how Nathan Ellery survived, really. I mean, he got thrown off of a really high building.
He's wheelchair bound now, so I mean, he didn't get away completely unscathed. But
he's just a normal dude, though. How did he survive that fall?
It doesn't matter. He's back for a one-off. It really doesn't matter. Anyways, so apparently when he turns on this machine, though, it'll like target people with the E-waves and turn their brains to mush, essentially, as he puts it. And that'll make it so that Nathan Ellery, being the only one who isn't affected by it, will become the leader of the world just purely by process of elimination. I find this hilarious.
By default.
Yeah, just by default. He's now the only one on the planet capable of having any leadership qualities or making any decisions. And so, yeah. Also, I guess I should say, meanwhile, while this is all going on and they're expositing to Cable and the gang, Swamp Thing is running through the forest being chased by a flying saucer with a magnifying glass that it uses to focus the sun into a laser beam. And it's...
Yeah, but he kills it by diving under it.
Yes. The only thing strong enough to penetrate it is itself. Incredible stole that from Swamp Thing.
Incredible stole that from Swamp Thing, and you can expect a petition very shortly. We'll be signing it. You will join, all 6 of you.
Yeah, and then he gets attacked by robot dogs, and then hijinks ensue. Swamp Thing gets to the house where they are. He throws Nathan Ellery into the machine, and the machine electrocutes him and kills him. And then the other scientist gets eaten by the robot dogs, I believe. Or at least it's implied that that's what happens immediately after the end of the comic.
Yeah, he throws him into a wall, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm fine," but then he gets electrocuted, and then he dies. And then they grab everyone. They rescue Bolt. Turns out this is where he was the whole time. Right, got kidnapped by helicopter. Portrait of a little man, an unstable ego held together by the string of contemporary paranoia. The too real dread of living in a world seemingly beyond the reach of human understanding. A situation the diffident Dr. Pretorius will soon have no reason to fear as dogs close in on him.
In the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Dogs closing on him. Yeah, then Cable and the gang and Swamp Thing all get onto the helicopter and fly away. And then apparently there's some sort of according to Cable, there was some sort of like kill switch that, like, if it wasn't, like, there was some sort of security switch that if you don't trigger it, it makes the helicopter leak fuel, which is basically just a convenient way of saying helicopter's going down.
Yeah.
And that's the kicking.
In his own words, the tanks must be rigged to leak gas slowly if certain security switches aren't thrown. Switches we knew nothing about. We're going down. Next issue, Village of the Doomed.
Yeah, we're at 30-minute mark. Let's take a quick ad break.
Quick ad break.
Ad break.
Ad break.
All right.
Megalomart, you're shopping for the rest of your life.
Yep, that. All right, welcome back. So they picks up where picks up where the last one left off. The helicopter crashed in the swamp, and I just noticed in this, like, it's the Village of the Doomed.
Yeah, it's a village.
Yes, but I can't help but notice.
I don't know. I was gonna make a joke about the prisoner, but it just didn't work.
Yeah,
Screw it.
No one knows anything about the prisoner.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure. Anyways, I can't help but notice that
Satan's on the cover again.
I can't help but notice that on this opening panel, as they're walking into the swamp, there's a massive alligator, like, looking ready to strike. I feel like that should be a bigger issue than it is, but really it's just decoration. So,
yep.
Yeah, anyways, they stumble into a village full of old people acting like children.
Yeah, so you know those creepy cafes where people pretend to be baby? It's like that, but a city. Oh, you don't know about those?
No, what kind of websites are you hanging out on?
It's not on websites. It's just a thing.
How do you know about it?
They have them in Japan. I watched Game Grumps, man, and also it was in an episode of Gotham once.
Lovely. Yeah, well, either way, it's a bunch of old people on a rocking horse. There's one with a rattle, one with a baby doll.
Don't forget the toy giraffe.
The giraffe? What?
The toy giraffe is very important.
Yeah, next to the guy with the rattle. But yeah, it turns out this village is basically a glorified retirement home led by the one young man here whose name happens to be, well, not important. And
Aubrey Trask.
There you go. Aubrey Trask. Right. Okay. He's the one in charge, and this is supposed to be basically just, here's his explanation. Well, ma'am, seems that somewhere along the line, someone figured a return to a childhood environment would ease the jolts of being put out to pasture. Serenity Village is the first practical test of that theory. So it's supposed to be a more humane version of a retirement home, I guess, even though retirement homes aren't.
It's just so wrong, though.
Yeah, this seems more wrong. But then what's even more wrong is on the next panel, he's kissing an old woman, because it turns out that this guy is actually one of the old people that has become young by mysterious means, and that his wife is still old. But yeah,
Swamp Thing is sad.
Yeah, Swamp
Thing.
Yep, Swamp Thing is being sad and stumbles into a cemetery and gets attacked by a weird four-armed Satan.
Yep. Oh, good, they've got pitchforks.
Of course they do.
Our standard village mob, once again.
This one's more of a satanic village mob, though. Those are like, the pitchforks are more like the very, they're not like the farming kind. They're the devil kind. Yeah.
And he's got that sacrificial dagger and the red cape with the tiny Satan brooch.
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious. And Swamp Thing, meanwhile, is fighting these Satan creatures, and or I guess there's only one of them at this point, but apparently, despite it being some sort of supernatural demon, you can kill it just by breaking its back, and that's exactly what Swamp Thing does. He bends it in half over a tombstone.
Demons in the DC universe are physical creatures. You can kill them.
I guess, yeah.
Well, because you got to remember, hell is in the DC universe, hell in the afterlife is an actual physical location that you can go to.
It's just just take the highway.
Well, no, there's magic. It's confusing. Look, it's a side. There's kind of a side effect. The DC universe, in what I suspect is an attempt to A, not be limited in what they do with their stories, but B, not alienate anyone specifically. Basically, every single religion, mythology, and legend, they're all true simultaneously, somehow.
But it's kind of the same error, of the same issue that like Marvel kind of falls into as well, at least like now in their shows. Like the Moon Knight show reveals that the Egyptian gods are real, and those exist. And, because of Thor, we know the Norse gods also exist. I'm pretty sure there's been reference to the Greek gods at some point. Right?
Oh, yeah, probably. I mean, I know the Greek gods exist in DC because that's Wonder Woman's whole deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's the thing. They all exist simultaneously. The comic books have been doing that. It's nothing new. The reason it doesn't work in the MCU specifically is because it just keeps raising the question of where were all of these people when we were fighting Thanos?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. At least in the case of Moon Knight, like, you can almost make the case that it's not even part of the MCU. They pretty much don't reference anything else in the MCU. And if it wasn't, Marvel, Disney, I would maybe even think that's what they were doing. But I'm sure it's going to connect later somehow, and it'll be just as sloppy as I expect it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the reasons I kind of liked Moon Knight up front. But then it sucked at the end.
You liked it up front because it was more standalone?
Yeah, because it felt detached from the rest of the MCU, so it felt like it, wasn't connected to anything that came before, and it had a genuinely interesting premise of like a superhero that doesn't know he's a superhero, and like he brought in the Egyptian gods, and that got kind of cool, and then it just spiraled into nonsense and then ended in a massive dumpster fire, and then it turns out like the ending was just confusing, and it turns out there was actually a post-credit scene that kind of explained it, but also kind of made it more confusing. I didn't even watch the post-credit scene. When I found out it was there, I didn't bother to go back and watch it. So,
yeah, that's the true mark of not caring.
Yeah,
I had that same reaction once to the first New 52 Deathstroke series, which is honestly like you know how many things I've read. The kind, like, I'm very forgiving. I did not bother to seek out a crossover issue that completed a story. I just skipped right on to the next issue and I never looked back.
Nice.
It's so bad. The New 52 Deathstroke, both of them suck, but the first one was worse.
Yeah. All right.
The second one, he gets all young, and then his daughter is a white person now, and then Ra's al Ghul is there, and his son is bald for some reason, and they don't explain any of it.
All right,
and then,
I think we're getting off topic here.
Yeah, sorry, whatever.
Let's get back to Swamp Thing.
Anyways, he wants to steal their youth using his demonic rituals and his life-sucking machine, and then Swamp Thing wanders in and beats him up.
He is the Aubrey guy that's the leader of the town. You keep using pronouns, like, and forget that...
gosh, dang it.
Yeah, you keep using pronouns and forget that, they can't see the pictures you're looking at, so when you say he, it could be literally anybody. But yeah, Aubrey walks in with his sacrificial dagger, and he's got his army of old people holding pitchforks, and they're coming to take Cable.
Which isn't as intimidating as you would think.
No, not really. But yeah, Cable, Bolt, and Abigail, they're taking all of them hostage, and then Swamp Thing hears them and comes to the rescue, and he saves another stock character from... another unnamed stock character from another demon creature, and I bet you can guess what's going to happen to that guy.
The comic says, and I quote, Nimbos intanacticos lazim bidar. And that summons a demon.
Yeah, but yeah, basically, so the guy that Swamp Thing saved basically just ends up being, like, he runs to the town and then also gets captured, and it turns out that he's basically just here to demonstrate... He's basically here to be the red shirt so they can show the stakes, essentially. So that guy gets killed. He gets sacrificed and, like, used to turn one of the old people young again, right? Or I guess that's what he's going to do with him. But, so that's what they're doing. They're committing satanic sacrifices to regain their youth. But, Swamp Thing ain't having none of that. He fights them all and frees his friends, and then there's explosions, and they fight demons, and... Yeah. That's kind of, I don't really care to go into more. I don't really care about going into any more detail.
There's not a lot of detail to go into, but that all changes in the next issue, which this issue sets up with a newspaper that says Monster Attacks Fort Lauderdale. And then we get what is basically the two-part finale to this run of Swamp Thing, because the last 4 issues don't really matter.
Yeah, so there's a bit of an asterisk there, but we'll get to that. But yeah, so this one ends with Swamp Thing once again wandering off into the swamp, trying to just...
Yeah, a lot of them end like that.
Yeah, you'll see that. I'm a bird, and people can't... I don't want people around me. He wanders off into the swamp. His friends, we gotta find Swamp Thing.
I'm a pitiful creature. I'm not fit for human company. He just runs away.
So yeah, this one. So this one actually starts with another Swamp Thing.
We're making it sound worse than it is. It's not bad, okay? It's not
fun.
Bad. It's just not compelling yet.
It shows its age.
Yeah.
And I'm more interested in the overarching plot, which, just is not part of this yet. So this one opens with a different Swamp Thing, and you can tell it's a different Swamp Thing because he has solid yellow eyes instead of Swamp Thing's standard roomy red eyes.
Yeah, and he's stupid.
Oh, yeah, and he's stupid. He's like a child. He's got like the brain of a child. And it turns out, through the art of flashback, they explain this Swamp Thing was created when Swamp Thing got his arm cut off in issue 5. Swamp Thing grew his arm back, and his arm grew a new body. And that's where he came from.
Yes.
Although,
We got the evil Swamp Thing.
So knowing what's revealed later in the Alan Moore run, why doesn't this Swamp Thing have all the same memories as the other Swamp Thing?
I mean, I could answer that, but it would spoil things.
I mean, is that actually a plot hole, or is there an explanation for that?
Well, I mean, there's an explanation, but it would require me to divulge information that you don't have yet. So I'm not sure it would be good to spoil that one.
Yeah. Either way, so that's what happened here, and then that Swamp Thing, he's stumbling through the swamp and runs into a Native American man named Hota Makana. And
are you sure that's how that's pronounced? You
gonna try? You want to try to do better?
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Hota Makana.
Anyways,
I don't know.
It wanders into the quicksand.
He white saves
people. They go into town.
Yeah, it's white people naming a Native American. It's one of those kind of names. Yeah. So
this issue features child abuse when this old man who sucks smacks his son for saying that he's like, shut up, I don't want to hear you. And then Matt Cable's like, don't abuse your child.
Oh yeah.
And then police.
And did you mention that Swamp Thing and Hota Makana are friends now?
No, the child Swamp Thing.
Yeah, the others. Yeah, the fake Swamp Thing.
The evil, not quite evil Swamp Thing.
No, he's a child Swamp Thing. He just doesn't know any better. But yeah. He the Hota accidentally shoots Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing fights back, and then they fall into quicksand. And then Swamp Thing okay.
He walks.
What are we gonna call fake Swamp Thing?
And then he panics.
I'm
gonna call him Swampy.
I'm gonna call him
or fake Swampy.
I'm gonna call it
Chompy for child Swampy.
I'll work on this. But basically, they become
not gonna
friends.
matter soon.
Yeah, and then they're in the diner and stuff happens. They're here basically, and they hear about the rumors of Swamp Thing being in the area, and they think it's probably Alec, but it's actually Swampy. So they they don't know that yet though.
I just like that when we pick up with Swamp Thing again, he's literally just standing over a cliff and he's like, my life is sad again.
I'm sad. I am so sad.
Yeah, he's always sad. Swamp Thing is a very melancholy being. I mean, he's a shambling plant man whose wife is dead, and none of his clothes fit, and he can barely talk.
He doesn't wear clothes.
Yeah, because he's a swamp man. He used to wear clothes. And then he gets drawn into town by a strange force. Yeah. What is the strange force, you might ask?
Well, it's the other Swamp Thing controlling him, most likely. He's apparently got some kind of weird connection to the other Swamp Thing since they were once, the same person. Yeah. And then he's drawn towards him. Oh yeah, and I guess we should mention that Cable and the gang are going into town, and the little boy they save from being abused is being their guide because he knows Hota, so he knows about the Swamp Thing.
Yeah. The kids with this guy, whose name is spelled with an apostrophe. Yeah. And then he's like, this creature, the fake Swamp Thing, that's not a monster. And then he goes on a rant against people stealing land because you can't do social commentary comic.
Yeah.
But then the Grotto of Eternal Youth.
Yeah. It turns out Hota is actually
check in next issue.
Oh right, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, so it leaves off there, but yeah, it turns out Hota is I don't know, I guess they explain that in the next one. But yeah, I guess just as a quick recap, Cable and the gang are out in the swamp looking for Swamp Thing. Real Swamp Thing is just off being sad, but being drawn by some mysterious force. And and I guess fake Swamp Thing is with Hota and the little kid. And and they just found the Grotto of Eternal Youth.
Call him Spruce Wayne.
Spruce Wayne.
Just call him Spruce Wayne.
Wait, the fake Swamp Thing?
Yeah, Spruce Wayne.
I was going to call him something. I was trying to think of a knockoff of Swamp Thing, so Marsh Object.
Yeah. Man Thing.
I'll just call it Marsh Thingy.
Swamp Thing in The Mirror Monster. And this cover is a recreation of the cover for number 10, which featured Swamp Thing fighting Arcane.
What?
But this time he's fighting the other Swamp Thing, who I've dubbed Spruce Wayne.
Spruce Wayne. I like Marsh Thingy better, but whatever.
All right, fine. Marsh Thingy. Okay. Junior Sloan listens and naturally is quite awed. For centuries, this place has been hidden from the eyes of men concealed within this swamp. Hidden till I found it when I was a boy, over 180 years ago.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. I mean, that's nothing, man. Ra's al Ghul is like 600 years old. You
we get it. You read DC Comics. Yeah. So, oh yeah, and I guess Junior's the little boy. I guess we didn't say that, but that's who was awed by the sight of the grotto. Yeah. But yeah, Hota Machina
drank the goosh.
Sorry, what?
He drank the water. The yeah, that. And then some settlers came in and they were like, "Meh," and he was like, "Oh gosh, white people are evil. I'm sad about this." And then he's like, "I'm gonna guard the grotto." Yeah,
you got the stock plot.
There's our social commentary for the issue.
Yep, there's social commentary. White people suck, or I guess Yep. Colonizers suck, I guess is more what it is. Yeah, they stole the land. I don't know. Let's just skip forward till something actually important happens.
And yet he's still an old man. You'd think he would at least get to look younger if he was constantly drinking from the eternal.
I mean, he looks good for being over 180. But
I guess.
But yeah,
maybe
he needs
a third his age.
He might need to drink a little more of that water, though. Yeah. Give her some of that white hair.
Anyways, Swampy's still making his way back, and then he runs into the motorcycle gang from earlier.
No, it's the real Swamp Thing, isn't it?
Yeah, Swampy.
Oh, he's the real one, Swampy?
Yeah, Swampy is like an official nickname for Swamp Thing.
Okay, well, yeah, so Swampy is still being drawn to Swamp Thingy, and runs into a motorcycle.
Thingy.
All right, Marsh Thingy. Runs into a motorcycle gang, they get into a fight. He defends himself, the motorcycle guys drive away, and Swampy finally... Oh, wait, never mind, we cut to a construction site.
Puzzled? As we promised you at the end of our last issue, reader, explanations are soon forthcoming.
Yeah, I love how they knew that would be a jarring cut, so they just put that panel there. Yeah, so now we're at a construction site with Matt and...
I love 70s comics.
Yeah. So yeah, we're here with Cable and Bolt, and I guess they're blowing up some land to put in like condominiums or something, and they're using TNT to blow things up, which is absolutely a case of Chekhov's gun being loaded. And the explosion just coincidentally happens to spray rocks all over the Grotto of Eternal Youth and destroy it, which makes Hota very angry and goes on.
Neither Cable nor Bolt knew that the engineers were attacked by the duplicate Swamp Thing. A note from the editor.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's on the last page.
Anyways, keep going.
But yeah, so here's Hota gives his little rant where he says, "The white man did this. The cursed white man destroyed my world, my life, as he destroyed the life of my father, as he destroyed my race." So once again, there's your social commentary. And then he tells Marsh Thingy, he must die. He must die. Seek the white man out, my child. Seek him out and kill him. So he just basically made Marsh Thingy is now racist, but against white people, so it doesn't count.
Well, there's the other social commentary. It turns out this guy is just as hateful as the people he hates.
Yeah, which he realizes promptly before his death. So yeah, spoiler. I love how there's this scene too.
Spoiler for like 8 pages from now.
Yeah, I love how like then immediately Marsh Thingy just starts climbing up the mountain, and like when he gets to the top, there's a construction worker standing by the edge. He just grabs him by the ankle and yeets him off the cliff.
Yep,
it's
first
great.
thing he does, and then he finds Cable, gives him a good bump.
Oh my god, I think we need to get. Never mind. It's too much work.
My exact double.
But do you see something? Do you see something familiar about this panel?
Which one?
It's the Spider-Man meme.
Wait, Spider-Man? Which one?
The one where it's two, like the Spider-Man pointing at his duplicate.
Oh, this one. I thought you were meaning the panel where he slaps Cable, and you were going to compare it to that one panel of Batman slapping Robin.
Oh yeah, that too. But no, I was thinking this one is literally
you.
It's literally the Spider-Man meme.
It is.
Also,
notable enough, most of the time Swamp Thing doesn't talk at this point in the series yet, but this is one of the few times he actually does speak.
He says, "My exact double."
Yeah, he speaks slowly. Okay, Did you just skip the ellipses in your brain when you read this comic?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know I did.
Except I did when it was his thoughts, when he was actually how he was speaking, I kind of kept it in mind just because, I mean, I explained this in the last episode. To me, it doesn't make any sense that the ellipses are there in his thoughts because, I get that it makes sense. It's hard for him to make that body talk, so it makes sense that it would be choppy and slow. So like that makes sense for his actual spoken dialogue, but why would his thoughts also be that way?
Because that's his inner voice.
Yeah, I guess. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I tend to skip over the ellipses when he's thinking and when,
Yeah. Who voices Swamp Thing in your head?
I guess I don't really know. It's kind of a deep voice is how I picture it. Kind of a deep, but not necessarily.
Well, who, though?
Like James Earl Jones.
Who's the voice actor? Who's the voice? James Earl Jones.
Maybe.
Hold on. Let me try it.
Maybe not James Earl Jones.
I don't know. James Earl Jones, for me, it was always closer to Clancy Brown.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
There's not very many good Swamp Thing adaptations, which means I don't have any voice actors I can superimpose into my brain like Batman or Joker.
I really want to watch the live action movies. I know they're probably not good, but I'd really like to watch them, like the ones from the 80s or whatever.
Yeah, I wanted to watch them, but I probably won't.
Apparently there's a more recent TV show from like the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. What channel was it on?
It was a CW.
Oh, it was a CW.
It was a single season of 10 episodes. Well, it's separate from everything else, but it got canceled early. It got canceled early, and it got 3 episodes chopped off of it, so it didn't get to properly finish out. They didn't give it a chance.
Was it any good?
I haven't seen it yet, but I heard a lot of good things.
Oh, okay, that's surprising.
From what I can tell, it looks good. But it's going to inevitably run into the problem of doesn't have a real ending.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, Swamp Thing and his duplicate start fighting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Hotog gets killed by the racist or by the abusive dad character from earlier by a single punch. Oh wait, no, he gets punched and his head hits the concrete, like the curb, and that's what kills him.
Yeah, he hits the curb. Then we cut back to them fighting. Hits him with a tree. And then he goes over and sees him, he's dead, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm sad about this." And then they blow him up with a grenade.
Yeah, well, because the fake Swamp Thing sees his friend die, and then they both get blown up.
Yeah, they never learned about the duplicate. Cable Abigail never learned about the duplicate. So when they get blown up, they think that he's dead, but actually he just goes and wanders off into the swamp again.
Yeah.
And this is basically the end of the story, okay? So the next series picks up with him like a couple years later, still in the swamp, still being sad, and then stuff happens. But in between this issue and the last one, there are 4 additional issues, one of which is canon for some reason that I don't know why, but the last 3 are not canon for reasons that'll become apparent later. But they're kind of weird.
So yeah, let's just kind of get into them, I guess. But yeah, I guess this is where I totally forgot that Matt and Abigail probably still think that Swamp Thing is dead at the point I am actually in the comic.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, they think he's dead. I totally forgot. Either way,
that'll come up again eventually.
Yeah. So this next issue though, starts in space.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like. The start of this issue is so jarring. It's like, why is this issue canon? Because like it starts with them just suddenly in space, and it ends with them in the desert walking away to a place, and then 22 starts with them in that same desert where stuff happens, and it's like you would have been way better just to end at 20.
Yeah,
and have the last 4 issues be non-canon, but 21 is canon. So
and this issue is just honestly kind of bad in my opinion. I'll get into reasons later, I guess. Yeah, so basically there's this
What's it
guy.
about?
Oh yeah, so there's this alien named Solus. Oh, excuse me. He's on a spaceship that looks surprisingly like a regular ship.
It's more like a space platform.
Yeah, it's like a boat. Yeah, it looks like a boat, like an actual boat, but it's a platform in space. He's got these these glass tubes with a bunch of different creatures in it. And essentially, this guy's story is he is some weird alien that was banished from his homeworld and now just travels the galaxy, collecting interesting specimens of like of creatures from planets and stuff. But I guess what this guy looks like. He can't touch ground.
Like Killmonger.
Sort of. Yeah, he's got these weird.
If you want to, yeah.
Well, he's got like.
Do you want to imagine like with the marks? Sorry, gosh dang it, go.
What? Sorry, I was just saying. Killmonger has like the scars on his body. This guy, he has actual like. It looks like someone bedazzled him with like little stud. Like he's got like gems all over his body, and apparently those are like bombs that will explode if he touches soil. So that's basically how his species punished him for whatever they were punishing him for. He's not allowed to touch soil.
Space forever.
Yep, he has to live in space. So he's just traveling around collecting things. He just happened to abduct Swamp Thing. And then Swamp Thing meets up with some other aliens who are captured there, including a weirdly human-looking woman with angel wings, a weird red guy that I don't really know how else to describe him. And yeah, some weird stuff happens. It turns out that Gem
he
guy
grabs him to save him, but then it's like, oh no, this is soil. Ah.
What? You just skipped a lot.
Sorry.
Well, you did the pronoun thing again, so they also have no idea what you were talking about. But yeah, so they make a plan. Basically, Swamp Thing and the other guys make a plan to escape, and it involves the woman because it turns out that the angel woman is like his slave, you could say. He likes her, and so when he takes her away to his chambers, she like pushes the button on his remote to let them out of their cage. They go in there to fight him, and they fight some of his henchmen and stuff. And this is weird. The part where he makes her dance to death, right?
Yeah, what about it?
It's weird. Yeah, he basically, when he finds out she betrayed him, he gets angry and like pushes a button on his remote that he can control them with and makes her like dance until she dies. And the panel is very trippy where it shows that because it's just like a bunch of different versions of her.
Yeah. Oh, you think this is trippy. You ain't seen nothing yet. Wait until you get to the issue with the psychedelic spuds.
Yeah,
psychedelic yams, actually. That's more accurate.
Yeah, well, he gets sad when he sees that she's dead. He realizes, he's like, no, I just killed her. I actually liked her. And then he gets angry and goes on a rampage. And he trips and falls off the side of his boat. Swamp Thing reaches out to save him. Yeah, he's like hanging over the side in space.
In space.
Yeah, and Swamp Thing reaches out to grab him and save him. And it turns out touching Swamp Thing counts as touching soil. So,
and then he's like, oh no. And then he floats off and then blows up.
Yep.
And then the ship crashes in a desert, and Swamp Thing's like, well, I guess I'll head out.
Yeah, all right. Yep, so that's why it makes no sense that this is canon, because where it picks up again in the canon issues, he's back in the swamp. So apparently between now and then, he just walked all the way back to the swamp.
Yeah, apparently what happened is that after being in the desert, instead of meeting up with the colony of mutants created from bombs, he instead just walked a really long way until he got back to a swamp, and he's like, all right, I'm back, and they just sat down.
Yeah, like I said, or I guess like you said, they should have really just cut it off at 20, because that wrapped things up neatly, ended in a good spot that made sense, and this issue adds absolutely nothing, and is honestly one of the lesser quality issues that I've read so far. So
I really am surprised by how much you dislike this issue. I always thought it was just kind of innocuous.
It's out of place. It just feels really out of place. Even for like Swamp Thing is about gothic horror and stuff, and this one just kind of dives into weirdly out of place sci-fi stuff.
Well, see, that's the thing. The first half of the series, the Len line, that is definitely gothic horror. But the second half of the series was a lot more sci-fi horror.
Yeah, I guess, but that one was
because I mean, like you got the youth guys, you got the what was the telepathic children ones. You got the guys created by radioactive waste. I mean, it was a lot more sci-fi than gothic.
Yeah,
and then especially like these last 3 issues, those are sci-fi basically.
Yeah, well, either way,
actually, this one's not even sci-fi. This one's just not even a gothic horror. It's not even horror really.
Yeah, well, so now we're into the non-canon issues, so I guess let's just claim.
We don't need to go in detail. Let's just go over the impressions.
Yeah, so this one is about while he's in the desert, he gets captured and like finds out that there's this underground bunker of people who were like exposed to radiation, right? Like there was like some bomb testing that like they got affected by the radiation because they were in a town nearby to the testing facility or the testing site. they've all been like
and
turned into
one of
these...
them is married to one of the bomb guys.
Yeah, he's married to the guy that made the bomb, and or she's married to the guy that made the bomb, and so they all look like, basically, they look like ghouls from Fallout. Like, they have like wrinkly yellow skin.
Oh my gosh, Fallout stole from Swamp Thing.
Actually,
I can't believe it.
Wait, when did this issue come out?
1976.
Okay, yeah, they were still first. Say the first Fallout game came out in like the 80s, I want to say.
The first Fallout game came out in the 80s?
I want to say so.
That cannot be right. Hold on, I need to check.
Maybe the 90s?
I didn't realize those games were that old.
Well, you probably don't know. The first two look entirely different than the others. Like, look at what the first two Fallout games look like. Oh, no, first one was in 97. I was way off.
Oh, gosh. Okay, that's... 97 is a lot more closer to what I thought.
Yeah, but they're isometric, like, point-and-click RPGs.
All right.
Kind of thing.
So, Fallout 1. Let's see if I can find a screenshot.
Yeah, Fallout 2 looks about the same.
All right. Yep. I'm getting this. Honestly, just looking at the cover and seeing the rendered graphics, it's like, okay, I can already tell this is what this game kind of looks like.
Yeah, that's what's interesting is like now Fallout's known for being like a first-person game, like a first-person shooter RPG, but it's like that was until Fallout 3, and Fallout 3 actually kind of broke the mold and was controversial at the time it came out, I think, because a lot of people liked Fallout the way it was. But yeah.
I've not played Fallout ever.
It's good.
Oh, what is this thing?
What thing?
I found it's a picture of a dude who's like melted over a computer screen or something.
Oh yeah, he's in one of those games. I can't remember.
Well, it's Fallout 1.
What's his name?
What is this? I don't know. I just found a picture when I looked up Fallout 1, went to images. This is like the third picture.
Oh yeah, here it is. Oh yeah, no, I do remember that. Yeah, this guy is.
Who the heck is this guy?
I want to say it's like a I have no mouth and I must scream kind of situation.
What, he's got a mouth?
No, it's just where it's like he was, I don't know. Looks like he's like melded with his computer or something. I don't know. Let's get back to Swamp Thing.
I don't know anything about Fallout. Anyways.
Let's get back to Swamp Thing.
Bomb stuff happens. Swamp Thing's there. It has a sad ending.
Yeah, and I guess the main takeaway, these people, they have some kind of disease. If you could expose them with like a hot hazmat suit, you get the disease and die.
I think the disease is radiation.
Yeah, back before they understood how... No, actually, they say it's a virus.
Is it a virus?
Yeah, he specifically say it's a virus. It's named after... Yeah, he says, it was my research that made the bomb possible. The government even named the blasted virus after me. Or wait, maybe the bomb was like a biological weapon, actually.
Something like
that. Yeah, that's what it was. The bomb had a virus in it.
And then he realizes it sucks, and then he's like, oh, it's fine, and then we found a cure, and then he blows them all up.
I was wrong again.
Why did they blow up?
I think it actually was just an atomic bomb, but somehow it made a virus when it affected... I don't know.
Radiation, it's a virus. This is the 70s understanding of radiation.
Yeah, but yeah, basically there's a bunch of the people that are quarantined are like... You know, we hate this. Like, we don't care if it destroys the world. Like, people need to know what's happening here. Like, they need to know the truth about what the government's doing. And like, so they basically go on a riot and try to break out. And if they escape, it's pretty much implied that they'll go and spread their virus to the human population, and a bunch of people will die. And they refuse to just stay in quarantine. So
he blows them all up.
Mm-hmm.
With him inside.
Yeah, the scientist starts the self-destruct sequence and blows up and kisses his wife. Yeah. He like takes his suit off or his mask off and like kisses his wife goodbye.
Sure. Honestly, I would even take these last two issues as canon because they don't contradict anything. It's really only the very last two issues that actually contradict what happens later.
And saying this issue was actually pretty good. Like this it's called the Solomon Plague, I think is the name of this issue. It was actually pretty good. It was really fitting with like the themes of the series and like the stories that have come before, and it was good. It was effective. But you know why it's not canon? Because it ends with him going home.
Oh right, because he's like, I'll go talk to my brother.
Yeah.
That I don't have ever again.
So he actually doesn't have a brother in canon then.
Yeah, no. This character never shows up again. But he's like, you can help cure me, right? And then they recreate. A lot of stuff happens. There's a guy named Saber in there.
Yeah, good.
And the Colossus organization, some new weird shadowy cabal that shows up, and they're like, we must capture Swamp Thing. You go do it. He's got like a sword for a hand. And
okay, so I wanted to ask about that though. So this Saber character, he's supposed to be someone we've seen before, right?
Yes.
Who is he? I could not figure it out. I even went back and looked through the old issues, and I cannot figure out who he was supposed to be.
I don't think he existed before now.
Because what they say is that apparently he like lost his arm when Swamp Thing escaped from the government in like issue 13.
Okay, so then what he is he's a random guy that we didn't see in that issue, but that's the issue he came from.
Okay, gotcha. Because it's like later on they like unmask him and show his face, and they kind of act like it's supposed to be a big deal, but it's like I have no idea who this guy is. But yeah, apparently he's just a government employee that lost his arm when Swamp Thing escaped, and now he wants revenge, and he has a sword for an arm. And yeah, like you said, there's like some weird shady organization doing stuff. Swamp Thing
Where they come from, who knows? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But
it's all about to this series is gonna get canceled soon. Yeah. Talks to his brother. The cover also, they changed the logo on these last 2 issues.
Oh, did they?
It's not as cool as the previous.
Oh yeah,
logo.
it's more generic. Looks like more generic superhero.
Swamp Thing. The other one is like Swamp Thing, and this one's just Swamp Thing. But then they go back to the old logo and every other series after that. Yeah. I'm pretty sure these 2 issues are the only 2 issues that use this logo.
Yeah. But yeah, so Swamp Thing goes home he goes to his brother's house, because it turns out he has a brother who's also a scientist. His brother has a girlfriend there who just doesn't wear a shirt for some reason.
Because it's a 70s comic and we need fan service.
Right, yeah, she's just like walks around in a bra and bell bottoms. So
because 70s.
Because 70s. But yeah, she faints when she sees him. Sees Swamp Thing, and then her brother shows up, and he's able to talk and tell his brother what's going on, and then he creates a cure for the Swamp Thing, and the way they figure out how to do this is if we can recreate what happened to you with this like modified formula, we can reverse it.
It's like it was that easy.
It was that easy the whole time, and it's kind of stupid of all the ways they could have done it.
A person.
Yeah, they literally put him in a barn.
Good luck. Good thing it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. But yeah, so yeah, these last couple issues are pretty terrible, and I'm glad they're not canon. But yeah, literally. So and I guess Saber shows up in a flying saucer to come after Swamp Thing. But yeah, Swamp Thing literally he like goes into a barn, and they have a little pool of swamp water, and they have him like explode in the barn.
Yeah,
with the chemicals.
Put the bomb. Yeah, they actually build like when they say recreate the accident, they mean like the whole thing. They build the barn again. They've got like a I don't remember if it was like a little pool or an actual pond that he jumps into.
It's a kiddie pool full of swamp water, essentially.
Okay,
like an inflatable pool.
So the kiddie pool I was remembering was accurate then.
Yeah, he just runs it. Yeah, so he explodes and runs out and dives into the pool, and lo and behold, it works. But then while it's working, Saber shows up and because here's the panel I'm talking about. And remembering, knows he's met this man before, and he pulls the mask off. Look at me, monster. Look at the face of a man you've destroyed. I'm John Zero, a cipher, a bureaucrat, a nobody until you came along.
Let me check. Hold on. I'll just double check. So Saber, this is the first appearance of Saber. What if I type in John Zero?
Because yeah,
one. Hold on. Let me go. I'm trying to find. Okay, he's not notable enough. Let me go to the DC wiki really quick.
Because listen to this. He says, capturing you was my greatest accomplishment, monster, the finest moment of my career. Then you were lost in an explosion, presumed dead, and all hopes and dreams, and all my hope, and all my dreams, my hopes.
No. He is indeed. He is in issue 13.
He is. Yeah, see, I went back to issue 13, and I couldn't find him, because like it looked like it was Cable that captured Swamp Thing.
Oh, wait, hold on. He's in issue 13 and then 23 and 24. He's also in Brave and the Bold #1. Give me a second. I have that issue. It's an extra issue. It's not collected. But I'm going to go check and see if he's actually in that issue.
Because yeah, here, I'll look back at 13 again, I guess.
Yeah. You go look at 13. I'm going to go get my copy of Brave and the Bold #122.
Cool. Gotta find 13. Is this 13? I think I went too far. But yeah, so here, I'll keep talking just so it's not dead air. But
this is the longest series.
The Leviathan conspiracy. Am I in the right?
So many. No way to easily organize. At least I have the.
Okay, so here's the part where they capture him, and it's just Abby. Wait, is that John Cipher? Wait, no, that's Professor DeGray's. So yeah, when they capture Swamp Thing, it's just Cable, Abigail, Bolts, and Professor DeGray's with a net gun, and they catch him out in the swamp. And I don't know, is it this weird guy in a suit that doesn't look anything like him?
me see. Hold on. What is John Zero? I'm looking through this issue. This one also has Batman in it. I think this is the second time he and Batman have met.
I don't know. Is it this guy? Oh, I think it might just be this random cop that's here. Or like there's these like security guard guys that accidentally shoot the professor.
Hey, what does this face look like? Does he have like brown hair and glasses?
No, that's Professor DeGray's.
No, wait, hold on. I'm looking at the guy in my issue.
Oh.
I don't actually know what I'm looking for.
Unless they like radically changed his appearance.
Okay, so there's Jim Gordon. There's an ad about Shazam and the dangers of television and Twinkies.
Okay, here's the part where the actual explosion happened. So he must just be one of these random security guards. That's all I can say. Is he must just be one of the random security guards, because he definitely doesn't appear anywhere else in the issue. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is the guy. He's got... Does he have...
He's got like... He's like partially balding, kind of. Looks kind of like a middle-aged man. Really pronounced cheekbones.
Oh, yeah, he's in this issue.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go.
Yep.
He definitely wasn't in issue 13, though, unless they just retconned him to be one of those cops.
Hold on, let me check issue 13 again.
Yeah, here, I'll finish wrapping up this one while you do that. But yeah, he fights Saber, and then right after he defeats Saber, he turns back into Alec Holland. He's human again, and naked.
Yeah. But the smoke covers him up. Don't worry, standards and practices.
Well, he's facing backwards, too. So.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry, Comics Code. We're still within reason.
Oh yeah, and Saber gets melted in the fire. His like sword
melted.
Well, he gets Swamp Thing throws him into the fire right before he turns human again, and like you see his like sword arm melt, and like his face gets burned and stuff. I know he's not dead though because he appears in the next issue. I think he's just disfigured.
All right, let's see. Okay, Passage decrease. That's not the guy.
Yeah, here I'll just keep on rolling, I guess.
Oh yeah, he's right there.
Where?
Yeah, he's throughout this issue.
He's just one of the guards? Was that right?
No, they talked right here. The speakers are Matt Cable and a man called John Zero, far more than he seems.
What? In 13?
Yeah, here he is. Yeah, look, page 5 of issue 13. He's right there.
Trying to find it. Here, you go ahead and summarize this issue while I do that.
Oh, 24?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what happens. The councilmen of Colossus, they grab Saber out of jail, and they're like, we're going to make an army of Swamp Things. Meanwhile, Alec Holland is still not Swamp Thing, but then an alien, a giant yellow dude in a purple suit, he shows up. His name is Threadvang. He attacks him. They fight for a while, and then he beats him, and then he's like, when will it end? I'm sad again. They falls off a bridge, and then they're like, next issue, Hawkman, but it doesn't happen because the series gets canceled. And it's non-canon anyway, so it doesn't matter. And that's all that you need to know about this issue.
Yeah, so I did find the part.
Join us in 6 years.
Yeah, I did find the part you're talking about. He just really didn't look like the same character in the way he was drawn in that issue. But yeah. So that's kind of what happens there.
That's 1976, and then the next series picks up in 1982. So yes, 6 years later.
Wow, cool. Yeah,
well, no Swamp Thing comic for 6 years, and then the saga of the Swamp Thing starts.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the
end. This is where it starts getting good.
Yeah. Well, we're at like the hour and 12-minute mark, and I think that's probably a good place to break it off for this episode. Yeah,
actually, that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, because then I'll keep reading.
Well, I guess we'll do one last thing.
Yes, what's that?
Futterman, what are your overall impressions on the first Swamp Thing series?
Oh yeah, I'm glad you asked. So yeah, I thought it started strong. I liked it. You know, it was good. It was definitely shows its age. It's very much a comic from the 70s. But, you know, that's fun. It's definitely got some high points and low points. It's definitely kind of has a crisis of identity almost, where it plays with so many different genres that it kind of loses cohesiveness at some point. But yeah, especially at that end there, where it just goes completely off the rails with Swamp Thing being human again.
Well, they were trying to renew interest in the comic by resolving the storyline and then starting a new storyline, but it didn't work.
You said that he was going to have to like take pills to stay human or something, right?
Yeah, which he does in the Challenges of the Unknown comic. That I don't know, maybe we'll cover in like a bonus episode one of these days, like all the other Swamp Thing comics that aren't the main comics.
Yeah,
but
I guess he appeared in Challengers of the Unknown.
I haven't read those issues. I have them. I just never got around to reading them because by the time I had them, it was after I'd already finished the series, and it's like, man, I don't want to go back to that. I'm reading these,
especially since it's not canon.
Yeah, that was the other problem.
Yeah,
even though that's the thing. It's not apparent yet, but after the second series, the overall continuity of Swamp Thing really stops making as much sense as it used to. Like, it's never 100%. You'll see what I mean when we get there, but like, it's kind of hard to know what's going on sometimes. The first series and the second series, all the way through from start to end, tell one long cohesive story that has a definitive ending, and then there's more comics after that.
Yeah, well, I will say what I've read of Saga of the Swamp Thing so far, I've read about the first 5 issues or so, and it's much better. It's very good. It's got an actual like overarching plot that carries from one episode to the next or one issue to the next. It's just,
art's better.
Yeah, the art's better, and it just feels like the plot. This is where it starts to take itself a little more seriously, I'd say. You know, it's like the themes it deals with. It's like it feels a lot more grounded, I guess you could say. Kind of.
Well, okay. I'm not sure grounded is the right word, because like
I just mean it's.
I'm just thinking like okay, so you're at issue 5,
roughly.
Is that the? Let's see. That's the one. Which one is this one?
They're about to be on a boat.
Oh, that one. I know this one. That's the one with the house full of people that are clones that take all the pain of other people.
Yes, that's the last one I read.
Yeah. So so let's see. At the point that you are at, we've got mysterious girl, vampires, homunculus, a demon, and well, you haven't gotten to the weird squid thing yet. So
yeah, so I don't know. Grounded's probably not the right word. It seems to take itself. it feels less campy.
Yes, know? That's the difference. That's the difference between 70s and 80s.
Yeah, stopped being campy.
Yeah,
but
honestly, when it comes to this first series, oh sorry.
What? Oh no, I'm enjoying it. That's all.
Oh yeah,
that's all I'll say.
I'll give you my impressions. All you need to know is that Swamp Thing as a whole is my favorite DC character. And as Futterman can attest, I very rarely pick favorites because I'm very bad at it.
Yep.
So that's my endorsement. This is my favorite.
Yep. Him and Watchmen are the only DC comics I've actually read. So there you go.
You've read more than that.
No, not really. It's for DC. Okay, I've read V for Vendetta, but that's technically Vertigo.
You read Gotham by Gaslight.
Okay, yeah, I read that one too. And that's pretty much all the DC ever. Oh, and Doomsday Clock, but does that really
Doomsday
count?
Clock. Yeah, well, yes.
Did I really read that one as much as it read me? If you know what I mean.
Doomsday Clock sucks.
It was bad. We'll have a very lengthy. You know, maybe that's what we'll do after we finish Swamp Thing. We'll finally do like a big Watchmen retrospective. We'll read all of the Watchmen content. You know, we'll start with.
Read Watchmen again.
Yeah, we'll read the before Watchmen comics. We'll read the first Watchmen book. We'll read Doomsday Clock, and then I guess we'll have to read the Rorschach comic as well.
I haven't read that yet.
Yeah, well,
I don't want to, but I know I have to eventually.
Yep. Well, we'll do that, and then you know what? We'll talk about the movie, and then maybe I'll get around to actually watching the TV show so I can talk about that too, or maybe I'll just pretend that doesn't exist.
Do we really need to talk about Watchmen? Like, what can we add that hasn't already been?
Probably not much. I would like to talk about like before Watchmen and Doomsday Clock.
Good.
I don't know.
It's good.
It feels wrong to do a Watchmen retrospective and not talk about Watchmen just because Watchmen's already been talked about so much.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just like there's nothing we can say. Other people have already thought out way better points than we'll ever think out.
Yeah, who knows? It's my favorite comic, so that's what we'll do it eventually. Either way, yeah, I guess that's the end. Should I start the credit music or whatever?
You know what? I think you probably should. We've had good times here, but it's time to wrap it up.
Yep, I've been Futterman.
And I've been Mingus. And pretty soon, I'll be gone for a while because I have business elsewhere, but I'll be back eventually.
Oh, there's the music.
Playing? Okay, good.
Did you just say my name?
No, maybe? I don't remember. Double check when the recording is over.
Yay, all right. Send a spam mail. No one has yet, as far as I know.
Yeah, there's only 2 comments on anything else.
It's beautiful.
Weird, sad.
Yeah.
This is, well, you know what? This is for our enjoyment.
Yeah, we're doing it for ourselves. Gives us an excuse to talk every week. Yeah.
We thought it would be fun, and that was all the thought that went into it.
Yep, and it's been fun with mixed results.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. We very quickly we're like, let's just do a podcast, and then it's like, oh well, I guess it was inevitable we'd end up here, but that's a story for another day.
Yep. All right. On that note.
Oh wait, no, that's my thing. What are you doing?
Well, I said on that note, and then you're supposed to say your thing. So
it's
on
over.
That note, oh, there you go.
It's over.
Yes. Bye.